you'll know we're close to a friend. After this, I'll be on the mend. You laugh and point while I lay there on the floor. My pain is your rejoice. Blood or bruised, it's a Sophie's choice. If there's chance for pain, you'll sit back and watch it rain. And if I threw a party with dancing candles and a cake, I would find that your gift would be unkind, and the card attached would say, you'll know we're close to a friend. You really hate me, you'll know we're close to a friend. You just don't like me, you'll know we're close to a friend. You despise me, the box score starts right now.
I don't know a lot about sports, but I can drink a lot of beer.
My motto is simple: C's get degrees.
Need a long, inappropriate hug? I'm your man.
I think I'm smarter than you, because I probably am.
Howard Collins for box score.
Hello and welcome to the Box Score. Nothing like a montage of nut shots. I'm Brock in Los Angeles, joined by the Danettes in the New York City Man Loft. You guys had a trio of great broadcasting legends in there. Paulie, if you could add one broadcaster today, who would it have been?
Wow, that's a great question. To me, this would be a coin flip. I'm going to pull a Fritzy here. Howard Stern or David Letterman. Growing up, I'm going to go Letterman. As close as it is to Howard Stern, I was a Letterman junkie growing up, and I've still never met him. It's probably the last person I really would like to meet at someday in my life, and I would have Letterman in studio. I would probably I'd probably pass out.
Yeah, Letterman or Stern are great choices. If I was keeping with the sports theme, seeing Vin Scully walk through the door would be right there behind those guys. It would be pretty awesome.
Yeah, I went sports too, and I would think that the only person missing today was Jim Nantz. He could have slid right in there, and you had a pretty awesome foursome there for golf.
I would go sort of news. I'd have either McNeil or Lehrer. I mean, it'd be a tough call. I like both their work so much.
Maybe Holly Rowe, we forgot her. Well, Dan showed why he's such a legend by opening the show with such a hard-hitting question.
Here was the morbid conversation we had. This was prior to the show. So you can guess which Danette brought this up. If the building's on fire, who was the first guy to get out? Or if we all die in the building, who's the guy who leads the tributes here? They're going to have the picture in the New York Times. So it'll say, X number perish, and then who leads that whole list? Is it Al Michaels, Bob Costas, or me? But, okay, so if management came in, who would they save? I'm going to go Al, Bob, then me.
We do a lot of prep on this show, and I would say there's nothing we prep more for than not guests, not like topics or hard-hitting sports angles or anything like that. We've definitely put the most thought into such trivial things like who would NBC want to save first. And I love it. I think it's really one of the strengths of the show is that we can sort of invent things. Hat tip to Paulie and his devious mind. But that's the kind of stuff that I think we really get the most passionate about when discussing.
I like awkward questions. I like awkward moments on air. I like tense moments and decisions that really make you decide something. People won't answer that question literally. They'll do kind of half-truths. But Dan's really opened the door for this. He's talked about his own death on the show. He brought up the Hornig thing years ago, that if he was on a plane with Paul Hornig, and Paul Hornig said, it's going to be Paul Hornig, the Golden Boy, and many others. So, you know what? Let's bring some awkwardness into the show. We're not just here to talk about the Mariners bullpen. We want to have some moments to make you go, ooh, man, that's uncomfortable.
Well, let me throw this question out to you. If the four of you were on fire and Dan had only enough liquid to put one of you out, who is he going to extinguish, McLovin?
Wow. That's how I'm out because I'm not important enough. So it's going to be tough. He likes Seton as a friend. He needs Todd to book the guests, and he really needs Paulie to produce the show. So That is a hard call. Now, did Dan said fire? Because that's an issue, too.
I think I have an answer on this.
I don't know. I really don't know.
I think I have an actual answer on this one. I think Dan would save Seton. In my mind, I like to think that he would save me because I feel that I'm important to the show, as we all are. But I think that if 3 of us died in a fire, he would no longer do this show. And I think he enjoys spending time with Seton socially and conversing with him, probably, honestly, a little more than the others, just because they have very similar interests and styles. So he would no longer do the show anymore out of respect to the 3 fallen Danettes. But he could still hang out with Seton socially and possibly do a show with new
dude, he'd reinvent the show in a week. Are you kidding me?
Not a week.
Will he take a week off or will he take 10 days off?
Week to 10 days.
He'd probably take 10 days because he'd want to go to Italy and take some time
Fair
off.
enough.
No more than 2 weeks.
Well, morning, you guys. That's why. I mean, no, you know what? I do like my chances in that, but I think ultimately he would save Todd because, no offense, Todd's a little bit like the most helpless of the group. He's the one that actually definitely needs saving if he's on fire. Paulie would stop, drop, and roll and probably save McLovin. I would be all right. I would be able to stop, drop, and roll, but Todd would just...
What's happening here? It's like flames. I'm burning. It's hot. My skin is bubbling.
By the way, we're assuming Dan would take the time to save any of us, which is not 100% necessary.
I gotta tell you,
What do you do? Blow on it? What do you do?
I don't want a fire to start in this studio. That being said, I would love to see Fritzy in a serious emergency situation to see how he behaves, because I don't know if he's got it in him deep down to like save the day or take care of himself. But I could imagine Fritzy hearing the alarm and seeing the fire. Goes, are we supposed to exit the red door, or has management set a note which door we exit?
Somebody taking care of that?
Yeah, by the time you overanalyze the situation, everyone has perished and nobody wins at that point.
Well, a funky question, but if you know anything about Dan Patrick, you knew he was going to go there with Al Michaels.
If NBC management could come in and save either you, me, or Bob Costas, the building's going up in flames, and they can only save one guy.
You.
No, that's because you don't believe that.
Oh, yes, I do believe it. You're the most youthful, so right? You have a longer
by
career.
A couple of years.
You have a longer career ahead of you. And you know,
but are you? When?
And Costas makes a lot more money than you do, probably. Though then again, I don't know at this particular point because you're doing 18 million shows.
That's true.
So
when are you?
These guys are laughing because they need raises.
You're not getting a raise.
No.
He just said no. There you go. Al got a standing ovation from
30%.
Yeah, Al didn't seem very comfortable at first with it, but then when he realized that Dan wanted a legitimate answer and this was a real topic and we weren't going to move on to anything else, including his book, until he answers that question about who the NBC executives are going to save, I thought he had a great answer. Dan's not that much younger than Al and Bob. I think, and Bob, especially Bob, but he seemed very genuine in his answer, and I'm glad, at least for our careers, that he picked Dan.
Who cares about what he said about Dan? Al Michaels in public said the Danettes deserve a raise. Did you hear what I heard?
He did say that. That's the other part.
We love Al Michaels.
There's no other part. That's the only part.
Yeah, we've always loved Al Michaels, the raise thing. Thank God bless you, Al. But I like that Al, I think, gave a real honest answer. He actually said, he goes, hey, you know what? This is a business, and you take the youngest guy who does the most stuff. And that was the closest thing to a real answer you'll get on a really awkward question. And he even brought up, he goes, oh, I think they'd take you because you make less than Costas. Like, oh, man. I was like, all right, a little tension by Al, which I love Al. He's like Johnny Cash walking in here. Seton and I would look at each other, and he walked over to his spot, and he walked like this, clump, clump, clump.
Just had a stroll. Like, I'm going to get to that chair. Don't worry about
I'll let you know when I'm ready, and I'll comfortably saunter into that chair.
He's got a stride. Dan and Al also talked about the eventual day that Michaels will have to call it quits.
I'll tell you what, if I can't do it the way I want to do it, I'll be the first guy, I think, to know, and I'm out. I'm not going to sit here and go, I got to do this forever and ever and ever. That won't happen.
But
you'll be the one to tell me, too.
No, I
want you to tell me.
Would you?
Yes, I would. I would like somebody, who I really trust and I would know what was going on. You know what, I saw you the other day, or I saw you for the last 3 weeks, and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I'd like to know that.
This actually was a little uncomfortable for me, which, not that that's a bad thing, but yeah, we have, from time to time, you just have these legendary broadcasters in, and Dan usually gets around to, so when you're wrapping it up kind of thing, and I don't know that anybody really likes to, while it may be on Al Michaels' mind that eventually someday he's going to retire, I don't know that he really wants to speak about it publicly, although he was certainly willing to go there and had great thoughts on it. But it did make me think, it sort of brings a lot of thoughts of, your own mortality and how long you've got things, your career and everything. It was a little uncomfortable.
And then there's also fear if, especially if you're a legend like that. What if you still have the passion, but your mind is going a little bit, with senility, or you're starting to lose your voice and you want to continue doing it, but your body is just not letting you do it. How awful and depressing that would be to not be able to go out on your own terms because things aren't just functioning or coming out as clearly as you're used to after so many years covering so many sporting events.
Like Seton said, this is a fascinating and awkward topic, and most guys would never bring it up to Al Michaels out of respect. But Dan and he have a relationship, and I think he has a relationship with the show that we know is just the real question of a 70-year-old man who's an industry giant who is still on top of his game. It's a fair question.
Yeah.
And I just can't imagine being in that position as a producer to say that to my talent ever. I mean, it would be such an awkward conversation to say, like, look, I think you're slipping, or I don't know if you could have that straight out conversation. I can't imagine being the person to do it, though my host, whoever, maybe Dan or other, would, I assume, want me to. So it's a quandary.
Well, let's put you in that quandary, Paulie. What would you say to Dan if you were in that situation?
I would need like a month to think about this answer, Brock, because I'm going to give you a real honest answer. If I thought Dan was doing something where he was slipping, I don't know. I got to tell you, I would probably try to help him in some way, or whoever. Let's say it's any broadcaster. I'd try to help him overcome those things. But if it got to the point where he was being embarrassed on air, embarrassing himself on air, then I would say something, because nobody wants to see a friend and a colleague embarrass themselves on air. And it might be an awkward conversation. I might be fired that day, or he may quit that day, or he may go on for 10 years. But the truth hurts, but it's better than lying.
That actually makes me think of just a couple weeks ago when Dan was sick on air.
Sure.
And that was a little uncomfortable, not only because we were worried about him and he was clearly struggling, but we sort of had to tell him, you can't be on the air right now. Like, you have to, we don't want you to embarrass yourself, and you need to leave.
Yeah.
Well, you have to go to the doctor and get checked out, but it's not good. You're not Dan Patrick. You're like a shell of him right now, and we got to figure something else out.
And it was a temporary thing. It was an illness situation.
Yeah.
It wasn't a chronic thing. And so when Seton and I walked over there to talk to him, it was by far the most awkward moment of my career. And Dan even looked at both of us. He goes, "Is it bad?" And we're like, and you don't want to actually say it's bad, but you say, you know what?
I think we just said you're struggling.
You're struggling.
Yeah, you're struggling.
Take the day off. We got this. Take care of yourself. Make sure you're okay. And I think he appreciated it.
I just bring nothing to the table, so I'm not worried about my skills diminishing, which is good. Coming up, the third part of the NBC Sports Trinity, Bob Costas.
I think the third most important person, no false modesty, is me. The second most important is you because of the highlight.
Yeah.
And Al's the most important because that's the biggest bulk and it's the game and he's the best at it.
All right. So if there's a fire during the football season, Al's the first one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I can fit more neatly in the lifeboat, though. I could go on the raft. We might all be able to get out.
Welcome back to the Box Score. Bob Costas hanging out in the man cave today. Paulie, in 50 years from now, where is Bob Costas in the discussion of broadcasters?
Oh my gosh, I mean, he's still going. It's not like it's even over for Bob Costas. He's still in his prime at 60. He has done everything. He's so good on air, it's stunning. He's so comfortable with Olympics. He's done Olympics, 7 Olympics? There's no reason that's gonna stop. ESPN, or what do you call it? NBC has it forever. He's done Super Bowls. He would be, if you were talking sports broadcasters, if he's not number one 20 years from now, I would be surprised, because I can't imagine someone who's 25-year-old, 30 years old now supplanting him. I hope someone does, because that'd be a great broadcaster to watch, but he's a household name, and even for people who don't watch sports, that's how popular he is.
Well, per usual, Bob was great, had some great stories, even a behind-the-scenes look at the famous Jim Gray, Pete Rose interview.
Jim talked to me the morning of the game, and he said, what are some questions you would ask Pete Rose? But in my mind's eye, all those guys from the All-Century team, there'd be a box that these guys would be in, and then you'd go to Jim, and he'd ask a question or two. So we discussed the questions. Then it turned out that he got Pete in the immediate aftermath. The best analogy I can offer is, let's suppose that one of Nixon's daughters had gotten married right in the middle of Watergate. Every legitimate question you could ask Nixon, you still don't ask while they're coming down the steps of the church This was his moment. Every question Jim asked him, if he'd asked it on this show, on the Today Show, on Meet the Press in a different context, was a legitimate question. It was the time and the tone that worked against Jim.
Yeah, I still don't. I don't excuse Pete Rose's behavior, and the way the MLB sort of. I would totally side with Jim Gray. I thought those were appropriate questions. I mean, questions that I don't care what the occasion was. I mean, Pete Rose had to answer those questions. There weren't a lot of other opportunities. I remember that very well.
I thought Gray got railroaded. I had more of a problem with baseball honoring Pete Rose, but not letting him be on the ballot. So we're going to use you for some MasterCard promotion for our purposes, but then when it's time to give you, put you on the Hall of Fame ballot for your career, which is spotless, we're not going to do that. I was more bothered by baseball's hypocrisy there than Jim Gray. Awkward moment, but you know what?
He went for it.
He went for it, and you know what if Pete Rose would have said something groundbreaking in that moment? It would have been one of the gutsiest questions of all time.
Right.
And the reaction could have been completely different. Jim Gray would be a legend. He's legendary for many reasons, but this would be a home run.
Seton, Costa said he wanted his last game to be a Cubs World Series win. If you were a broadcaster, which game would you want to be your last game?
Well, you know, I would actually probably say the Cubs World Series too, because I can't really think of anything else in sports to look forward to, frankly. I mean, it's like really the last truly great story left in sports. When are the Cubs going to win a World Series?
Would you go personal? What if Seton Hall won the NCAA title and they beat Michigan on a pair of free throws?
Oh, that'd be great. That would be awesome.
Yeah, you got to go with your team in this
Super great. Oh, yeah. Well, I was trying to look like real life things. Although I don't know which is actually more impossible. Seton Hall recreating the '89 NCAA championship and winning, or the Cubs just winning a random
Ramil
World
Robinson's
Series.
grandson missing the free throw against Seton Hall.
Oh, man, that would be so great.
Yeah, you're right. Cubs is even less likely.
Yeah, let's talk real life. Okay, I'd want my last show to be the box score, of course. Stick around. We're having box score burgers tonight.
Is it considered surf and turf if you start with a Sicilian slice of pizza and then finish with an egg roll and some fried rice? That's my version of surf and turf while I was watching the Chief Radio.
So you ordered from two different places?
Actually, maybe a little worse. I went out, I sat down at a local pizza place, had a slice and a square.
By yourself?
By myself.
Sweatpants?
Sweatpants.
Boo-boos?
Probably a little torn in the crotch with a Snapple grape aid, I believe.
Welcome back to the box score. Last night was Fritzy's weekly New York City Chinese takeout binge. Fritzy, confess, did you break it down to two smaller meals so Team Box Score wouldn't come after you?
Pretty much. I'd like to call it two smaller meals, but it's probably way too much food once again. And I break my promise every week that I'm going to kind of slow down a little bit. I didn't know if I wanted pizza or Chinese. Those are two of my favorite foods, especially in New York City. So I walked right past the Chinese place, got a slice and a square Sicilian but that wasn't filling, and then I had a big decision to make. Do I go third slice of pizza, or do I go surf and turf and mix it up a little bit?
Or go to bed.
And have a little Chinese. Or you can go to bed. But the night was still young. It was only like 6:30, 7 o'clock. I went for a little stroll, and next thing I know, I got a bag that has an egg roll and wonton soup and fried rice in it, and it may or may not have had cashews and a black and white cookie.
Fritzy, you're a professional eater, but we wanted to know what it would be like to have dinner maybe with a professional athlete. UrbanSpoon.com compiled a list of athletes and their favorite meals from some of their favorite restaurants. We wanted to know if you can match the athlete with the meal. Let's pair it off differently. Let's go Paulie and Fritzy, and then we'll go with McLovin and Seton on a different team. It's going to be multiple choice. And let's start with the left side there, Paulie and Fritzy. Drew Brees, quarterback for the New Orleans Saints. What is Drew Brees' favorite meal? Is it brick oven pizza, charbroiled oysters, or salmon salad?
None of those are real New Orleans foods.
Well, charbroiled oysters down in New Orleans is a big thing. There's a place called Drago's. And knowing Drew Brees as a true New Orleans person.
And you can get pizza anywhere in
sure.
salmon.
I think his answer was to take care of the locals. I think he's going to go charbroiled oysters.
Paulie, you absolutely nailed it on the head. Not only is it charbroiled oysters, but it is the oysters from Drago's Seafood Restaurant in New Orleans. Well done.
Look at you. Look at this guy, huh?
Oh, we are all over it.
To the right side, Seton and McLovin, Bears defensive end Jared Allen. Which is Jared's favorite meal? Is it venison that he actually killed and took to the chef? Or is it a burger named the Sasquatch? Or a triple bratwurst sandwich topped with sauerkraut?
Well, if it's Urban Spoon, it can't be his own venison. Right?
Yes, which I mean that would be his thing.
He likes
to eat what he kills.
So,
but the Sasquatch burger, that sounds. But bratwurst, you know.
But bratwurst, wouldn't that be siding like? Don't you think brats and Packers?
Yeah, and then he's more of a Minnesota guy.
Right.
Yeah.
Minnesota.
The Sasquatch.
I'm gonna go with the other.
He's probably been confused with the Sasquatch in his life, so I think Sasquatch.
Yeah. Okay.
Brilliant deduction, gentlemen. It is the Sasquatch burger, the Lodge Sasquatch Kitchen in Fort Collins, Colorado, with a side of tots. Give me some of your tots. No.
There you go.
Oh, little tots actually.
To the left again, Patriots quarterback Tom Brady. What is Tom eating after a big win? Is it bolognese, tortellini Alfredo, or ossobuco?
Oh.
Wow, I would have guessed something Brazilian.
Whoa,
that's dessert.
My goodness.
I'm trying to think of what role Giselle has had in
goodness.
determining what kind of. It doesn't have to be some kind of cool, fashionable kind of food.
I'm gonna go bolognese. It's a nice, hearty, meat-filled pasta. It's cold up there in New England, Fritzy. Fills you up right, if you know what I mean.
What's in ossobuco?
Ossobuco is like a veal pulled and it's kind of
Good
marinated in a Italian sauce or marinara.
My initial thought was ossobuco only because of the whole Giselle thing, and he thinks he has to have something that's.
But ossobuco is Italian. So
Yeah.
I think we're gonna go with
so
the
let's go bolognese.
bolognese, which is more hearty.
Correct again, Paulie. Bolognese, specifically from Lamora in Brookline, Massachusetts.
You are killing it.
Nice.
I would have said ossobuco.
All right, gentlemen on the right, you have to get this correct to tie. Back row, I'm sorry, to the right, Giants quarterback Eli Manning. Is Eli eating a veal cutlet and angel hair pasta, pork chops and mashed potatoes, or catfish and hush puppies?
Ooh. Catfish and hush puppies.
He probably, you know, the Giants restaurant is Rayo's in Harlem, the famous Italian restaurant. I think he's going with the veal from Rayo's.
Great, let's go for it.
Good guess.
That's a great guess, but it's completely wrong. It's the pork chops, mashed potatoes, and butter beans from the Ajax Diner in Oxford. The coveted box score athlete Food Knowledge Challenge Championship goes to Paulie and Fritzy.
Nice.
You know your food.
Good job, Todd.
Don't go away. The battle of the box score rages on after this. Welcome back to the Box Score, hanging out here at the bar. Big weekend on deck, and while the teams battle on the field, the real war wages between the Warriors here on the Box Score. You know what time it is.
The Danet Football Night in America Challenge.
That's right, let's do battle. Sunday night's game is between the Giants and the Cowboys NFC East showdown. And it'll be, feature two of the hottest receivers in the game, Des Bryant and, of course, David Beckham. Odell Beckham, of course. Yes, Odell Beckham Jr. This week's question will be, who gets the most receptions between the two? An extra point will be awarded for closest to the hole. Paulie, coming off a record 3 points from last week, you can go ahead and lead us off.
I'm gonna go Des Bryant. I'm gonna go 9 catches. Big night for Des.
McLovin?
Ooh, I love me some OBJ, Odell Beckham Jr. But I feel like the Cowboys are going to focus on him. Cowboys coming off a bye. I'm going with Dez with also 9 catches.
Whoa.
What? Old dirty Beckham. You're trying to. That's no. Hey, Brock, that's not fair. We should not
I'm
be
going
able
to
to pick
maintain
this.
my 1-point lead throughout the year.
Oh man,
Hey,
Brock, you
strategy.
should stand in there.
I kind of side with McLovin on
Fritzy
this.
thinks it's weak. You say it's strategy.
Yeah, I think it's
Brock,
strategy.
you break the tie.
There's no reason to break a tie. Everyone can choose 9 if they want. Seton, do you want 9 also?
I do want 9 also, but for Beckham.
Wow.
Fritzy?
I'm going to go with 7 catches for Des Bryant.
Oh, we're so matchy-matchy, Fritzy. I'm going to go Des Bryant in 7-2. We will see how it all unfolds on Monday. Fritzy, who's on next week?
Tony Dungy will join us on Monday. Reggie Miller will join us for a special Tuesday appearance. He's going to think
Why is it special? What's the special?
It's special because he normally joins us on Monday, and now he's going to join us on Tuesdays for the rest of the football season programming. Rich Eisen will join us on Wednesday. We're going to move him up a day because of the Thanksgiving holiday.
Is that special?
Not
Less
quite as
special.
I'm going to say Reggie Miller Tuesday is more special, and Rich will be upset with me for saying that.
Todd.
And we may hear from Troy Aikman next week. We may hear from Dak Prescott. There's a lot of things floating around. It's very exciting.
We might hear from Michael Jordan next week.
Is it, you never know.
Actually, we won't.
Happen.
We won't hear from Michael Jordan.
Marissa Tomei, who knows? We're trying everybody.
She's in the bald, guys. If you got a guess, you can tweet us at the Box Score Show and do hashtag BSFNC. Thanks for watching the Box Score. Weekdays, Monday through Friday, 2:39 audience, the idea. Oh, and the podcast available on iTunes or at podcast1.com. Technology and stuff.
I don't know a lot about sports, but I can drink a lot of beer.
My motto is simple. C's get degrees.
Need a long, inappropriate hug? I'm your man.
I think I'm smarter than you because I probably am.
Hey, thanks for watching the Box Score. Holy cow!